This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
This is the Roger Stone Show, presented by Colonial Metals Group.
A man who's gone through hell, but he's kept going, and he's smart, and he's strong, and people love him. Not everybody, but people love him and respect him. Roger Stone.
Now, here's Roger Stone.
This is Roger Stone, and this is the Roger Stone Show on the Red Apple Audio Network. With me now is Ann Vandersteel. She's a recognized name in conservative circles, that's for sure. The host of Steel News, and it's actually Steel News and Right Now. She's an outspoken constitutionalist. She's more than a journalist, though. She's not only a good friend of mine, but she is an activist devoted to the protection of the health and freedom of the American people. She's worked very hard to expose what's really going on our southern border. But she more recently has, because she has a very big heart, she has focused on the hurricane victims and their families in North Carolina. She is a truth teller above all, a trailblazer really in new media. She too was put on a secret TSA domestic terrorist watch list, along with Tulsi Gabbard, three-term congresswoman, and a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army who served her country with valor in both Iraq and Kuwait. So Ann Vandersteel joins us now.
Roger, thank you so much. Great to be with you today.
I'm really glad that you could call in. I know that you are moving around. I hope to see you this weekend, actually, at the Reawaken America Tour event in Selma, North Carolina. But there seems to be some very real strange things going on in the country. I wanted to start with this. I spoke about it in the last segment. We have a new executive order, in essence, a new Department of Defense proclamation and a press release from the White House regarding this new DOD directive, which, based on what I can see, it is number 5240.01 for those who want to look it up. But it seems to me that in section C 3.3, in section C particularly, it authorizes the American military to fire on U.S. citizens. What is this about?
Well, Roger, it is highly disturbing. Yes. In fact, the DOD directive that was reissued on September 27th of this year. And it basically governs the Department of Defense intelligence activities, which includes provisions authorizing legal force in certain circumstances, basically supplanting the 2016 version of this directive, which did not mention that. So, even Ron Paul has been warning that the U.S. military was just authorized to kill Americans on U.S. soil, which, of course, goes right against Posse Comitatus, obviously incredibly dangerous. And we also know that, through the work of Operation Burning Edge and the coverage Michael Yon and I have provided along the southern border and northern border, for that matter, with respect to the illegal invasion that has been happening. A lot of these men, with the, thanks to our U.S. military, have been given the opportunity to get citizenship if they join. So essentially, we're seeing this happen in law enforcement agencies in certain parts of the world, like up in Chicago. Illegals can gain access to citizenship quickly if they become a member of their police force up there. And, of course, our military. You have these military entrance processing stations in certain areas along the southern border where people coming across get segregated. You go here to CPB and perhaps even Catholic Charities for processing, but you strong, strapping-looking military age man, come with me over here. and we'll, give you your dream of the American pie if you join our military. So essentially, we're putting guns and badges in the hands of illegals who are coming here by breaking the law to begin with and making them part of our law and order. It's highly disturbing. And now with this new directive and, what we're starting to see again, this is going to be George Floyd on steroids, frankly, where the left will weaponize, their psychological operations to gin up hostility and sow dissent among Americans and the invasionary army. And this could end very, very badly. We could see real war on our own soil, which we haven't seen since the Civil War.
Well, as I said in the first segment, you already see the supporters of Kamala Harris predicting violence. Oh, the Trump people are going to be violent if he doesn't win. They're going to be violent if there's a dispute. When we very specifically denounce violence and don't think it is the answer, so they seem to be preparing us for this. And the other problem here is the same, which is at the end of the day, I don't know, in my heart, I realize that people at the upper reaches of our military now are entirely woke. And that great generals like General Charles Flynn, brother of Mike Flynn, who until recently served as the head of the Pacific Command, has been relieved of command and is retiring as of November 8th. It doesn't sound like it's his decision. A great down the line soldier, not at all political, but a man who would never countenance American soldiers firing on American citizens. Will Americans fire on other Americans? My gut says no, but they've solved this problem because the people holding the guns, as you just outlined, will not be Americans. It is chilling. It really is chilling. But it shows you between this and the two announcements by Attorney General Garland, who says that any interference with the election day process will be severely prosecuted. Well, if the problem is at some point asking a question is determined by them to be interference. If a citizen simply asks a question. In Florida right now, if you ask a Board of Elections official the same question twice, they will claim it to be harassment and you will be charged with a felony.
Right.
Even it doesn't matter how politely you ask the question. So,
right.
So it doesn't speak well to the future. I'm hoping that President Trump can win solidly enough, and then all of the post-election day shenanigans involving the executive order signed by Biden, which is really, interestingly enough, the renewal of an executive order signed by Trump. Trump, under fire for the Russian collusion hoax, goes so far as to put out a presidential executive order saying that an examination of the question of foreign interference in the election should be considered, should be studied, and a report put together, and it should be dealt with. It doesn't talk about how to deal with it, but that was recently renewed by Joe Biden. Despite the fact that we still don't have any evidence of their last claims of Russian collusion.
That's correct.
Between John Durham, who missed a lot, the special counsel, and Robert Mueller's final report, which is once you finally get all of it, and thanks to BuzzFeed, redacted sections are finally revealed. It even tells you that we found no evidence of Russian collusion or WikiLeaks collaboration or any other violation by Roger Stone. So let's prosecute him on a process crime. It's basically it's basically what it says.
That's right.
And the irony is BuzzFeed sues the Justice Department for the final report, which is redacted, thinking that it'll embarrass me when, in fact, it exonerates me. Thanks.
Right.
Many thanks to the folks at BuzzFeed. Oh, they went out of business? Huh, too bad.
Well, Roger, we've seen the playbook before, but they're tinkering with it as much as possible. And, like you said, they are setting and prepping the battlefield right now to have a repeat of J6 in any form or fashion so that they can then turn the weapons that have been here to protect Americans from foreign and domestic enemies alike.
All right, we're going to be right back with more of Ann Vandersteel. And when you come back, I also want you to tell us about Republic, because you and many other patriots have gotten together to build a communications network that I think could be vital to the future of the country. Ann Vandersteel, who is not only a really good friend of mine, but a true patriot with an enormous heart, has been helping people in North Carolina. She's been there on the front lines. I'm very anxious to have her tell us what she sees, because Joe Biden says that they have everything they want and everyone's happy, which is not what I'm seeing online, and it's not what Ann Vandersteel has been telling me about. So, folks, you're tuned in to the Roger Stone Show right here on the Red Apple Audio Network. We'll be back with more of the Stone Cold Truth in just a minute. So whatever you do, don't dare touch that dial.
Mic check. 1, 2. Are we recording? Hi, I'm Michelle Bernstein, an award-winning chef, restaurateur, and mom. I have a lot on my plate, including my psoriatic arthritis symptoms. That's why I was prescribed Cosentyx. It helps me move better.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for people 2 years of age and older with active psoriatic arthritis. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some were fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTYX or Cosentyx.com.
Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentyx.
Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump.
They went after a guy named Roger Stone, who's sitting in the office. And I'll say this in front of Roger, he's no baby. And right now, he's cleaner than anybody in this place. No, they treated him very unfairly.
All of these presidents relied on one man to secure their seat in the Oval Office. That man is Roger Stone.
Roger Stone.
This is the by Colonial Metals Group. Now, here's Roger Stone.
And we're back. This is the Roger Stone Show on the Red Apple Audio Network, and we're talking to Ann Vandersteel. Ann Vandersteel is the host of both Steel News and Right Now with Ann Vandersteel. She's also been very active with Operation Burning Edge, working with other patriots to try to help people on our southern border and tell people the truth about the invasion of our country. Ann is in North Carolina. Her social media feeds have been riveting because I can't quite figure this out. Biden tells us, as I said, that the people there have everything they need. They're happy. That's clearly not true. Then we see, as reported in the New York Post, that Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, this guy's a piece of work, announced that FEMA was essentially out of money, having spent more than $1.4 billion since the fall of 2022, mostly on migrants. The administration scrambled very quickly to back off that and try to walk it back because I think Mayorkas blurted out the truth. Then Kamala graciously announced that everybody affected would get a whole $750. Payments to illegals, by the way, are $2,500 a month. Payments to people affected by the hurricane are a one-time payment of $750. A very good friend of mine, whose apartment was house was completely destroyed, as was her car, had been told by local FEMA officials that there were low-interest loans available through their program, but she needed to apply for them. This is in addition to the paltry 750 clams that they're giving you. And when she had finished the application process, which was pretty difficult, I guess, they told her, "Oh, I'm sorry, but that program's been discontinued because there is no funding for it." So, and what is FEMA doing on the ground to help people, and what are they not doing?
Well, frankly, FEMA is invisible to the people that need it the most. If you really want a $750 check, which is a loan that must be repaid, They have not seen FEMA out in the hills where the people were most impacted around all of the water sources that flooded. I mean, unmercifully so. Biblical level flooding happened in some of the most strategic energy-rich zones. You know, this quartz silica, which is mined for the electronics world. Of course, lithium is in just abundance in those hills. And the FEMA folks haven't been up there to really take a look at what's going on, but they are building some incredible, fabulous structures for themselves, equipped with fantastic climate control trailers, tornado shelters en masse, because, you know, Tornado Alley exists here in North Carolina. No, it doesn't. But they are looking out for their own that are coming in and descending upon the area in what I can only consider to be a massive money laundering grab by the federal government yet again. And when we can, you know, asked them yesterday, I went to a FEMA camp that is still under construction. It popped up in a matter of days to find out, you know, what they're doing to help the people. They said, well, this camp is just for our people, 700 people coming in from around the country to assist in any way possible. And I, again, questioned how are they assisting. They said, well, by the fact that we're building this camp and not taking up local hotel rooms, we're keeping those available for the people who have been displaced, which just tells me they take care of their own. And the heck with the Americans who are suffering. But again, I say this tongue in cheek because when I speak to the Americans who have lost everything, not only is their attitude completely squared away and positive, they do not want the federal government intervening in their lives. They just do not. They live in the hills and they live in their own self-sustained communities without government interference of any kind. And they have for over a century. So why do they want to wreck a good thing that's going? They will rebuild, and they are, you know, saying that they're not leaving. And again, you know, the federal government, the rumors of condemning towns and so forth has not yet bared fruit from some of the people I've spoken to on the ground. But what, again, the federal government's presence is not exactly helping them either. The state, local, and more civilian population response has been incredible. So people are getting what they need, despite the federal government trying to, you know, blockade and stop and tell people, no, you cannot use this supply or that supply because it's not a FEMA-approved contractor. Well, the people are saying, you know what, FEMA? We're privatizing these operations. You have no jurisdiction. Pound sand. Thank you so much for playing. We'll take care of our own.
I mean, a bottle of water is a bottle of water. And you know, a ready-to-eat meal is a ready-to-eat meal, and a blanket is a blanket, and dry socks are dry socks. I mean, basically, all one has to do is go online. I don't think this is a hoax. You have individual people posting videos showing you devastation and explaining what they themselves are going through, these poor souls. I've started advertising to help Samaritan's Purse because I have a very high regard for Reverend Franklin Graham because he played a key role in my own redemption in the blood of the cross. I changed my life based on advice he gave me and things he gave me to read. And I admired his father, who I met once when I was working for Richard Nixon. I admire Franklin Graham very much. He's a great apostle for the Lord, but he's also doing amazing work. And when people give money to Samaritan's Purse, it's not going to overhead. It's going to help people. So it is, but there are still people. Correct if I'm wrong, Ann, who don't have those things I talked about: water, food. There are still unaccounted for people. There is still muddy chaos. Yes.
That's true, and we witnessed it ourselves. I mean, there's at least 1,800 people still missing, and that is being reported locally by local news stations here. That is not numbers that are just coming from social media, helter skelter. But yes, there are people that still need supplies. But I can tell you, the distribution network and Samaritan's Purse has been absolutely fantastic. I concur what you're saying, but so have a lot of the local churches. They've all stepped up. They've created at airfields, private airfields, they've stepped up and created hub and spoke distribution sites and working with churches to make sure that these supplies are getting to where they're mostly needed. They've used helicopters and fixed aircraft in the beginning to get to places, but now they've started to clear a path. They're still using ATVs in some instances to get supplies up to people. But for the most part, when we go from fire department to fire department in all of these tiny little communities, and we talk to them because that's where the supplies are located and they're feeding them up into the hills, they say, we're really good. We have everything we need, and we know where we can get more. I think the most recent thing I heard the other day was, we need fire extinguishers because we've given people propane heaters for their homes that don't have any heat right now up in the mountains, and it's below 30. It's snowing in some parts. So, it's the things like that, but they're organized. And FEMA had absolutely nothing to do with any of it. So now they're here. People are fairly organized. Do they have everything? No, but they know where to go and get it. And now FEMA's setting up these massive camps. 3 in the state of North Carolina. For what purpose? For what purpose, I ask you, because I'm looking at the Army Corps of Engineers, I'm looking at the North Carolina DOT, and they're rebuilding roads right now. So what is FEMA going to contribute at this point? That's the question.
All right. I want to thank our guest, Ann Vandersteel, for joining us. I'm going to see you this weekend, Ann, at the Great Reawaken America Tour event. I have Colonel McGregor joining us later today. He's gonna tell us about Republic because it's a great network that you've been working on to try to help those who believe in putting America and our families first to communicate. Thank you so much for your time, and God bless you.
God bless you.